As I stand here before possibly the greatest graduating class North Delta has ever seen, I am absolutely honored to be speaking on behalf of each and every one of you. I'm humbled that I've been selected as a representative of North Delta's finest. Good evening, administrators, teachers, parents, relatives, and fellow undergraduates. Welcome to our last hurrah in the very school that has been our home. And the word home is not used lightly here for the greatest 4 years of our lives to date. Aristotle once said, the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. This applies to our lives as well. The beginning of a journey is full of hardships, but if we persevere and work through these thorns with optimism and confidence, the destination will be full of nectar. I remember my initial encounter with public schooling, and it was quite disastrous, but maybe not as disastrous as Puneet Badi and Ramantur's attempt at driving experiences with parked cars. But it was still quite unsuccessful. My mother's first attempt at taking me to preschool ended in failure because I refused to stay and leave my mom. I believe I cried and wept for an hour before my amazing mother decided to take me home. The following day produced the same result. I never did attempt preschool. Our first days being involved with formal schooling were spent thinking of the final bell and just going home. Or in some cases, not going at all because we greatly disapproved. Next September arrived, the cycle repeated itself. After 2 weeks of spending the beginning of kindergarten class overcome with grief, I finally accepted my fate as a student. Ironically, the subsequent year was a complete opposite, and I loved it. And I completed grade 1 and grade 2, skipping the second grade. 2 years later, my family moved across Scott Road to our home in beautiful North Delta. We all became acquainted with the sour bases of school during our tenure in elementary school. Before this formal introduction to teaching and learning, we were okay on our own, learning from our surroundings. Because from the very beginning, we're always students, interpreting our environment and improving ourselves. It seems as if our time at elementary was brief, but it was actually a period of 80 years, from kindergarten to grade 7. We began elementary dreading hearing that morning bell, but we left elementary missing every single aspect of it. These North Delta elementary schools are in fact the stem at which most of us here began. Some of us began our growth at Anneville, some at Devon Gardens, while other incredible grads bloomed from McCloskey. Many developed at Gray. Some graduates flourished at Heath, while Chalmers stakes his claim as the producer of the experiment.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Richardson branched off its fair share of impressive graduates, and Gibson sprouted graduates from every end of the spectrum. But a number of North Delta's finest graduates originated at Jarvis. And finally, I inform you that some of North Delta's greatest athletes, some of North Delta's outstanding overall citizens, and your very biased valedictorian came from Elliott. Elementary was just a trunk for our ever-growing tree. We all moved on to the new challenges of high school, where the environment was completely unknown to us. We had grown accustomed to having one teacher instruct us for every subject. And immediately, we had to understand the high school system, where there was a different instructor for each course. This 2010 graduating class spent its first year getting familiar with high school, away from the marvelous establishment we're sitting today. North Delta Secondary only allowed students grade 10 through grade 12 at that time, but regardless, the duration of our time in the surrounding junior secondary were full of unbelievable memories. Burnsview, Sands, and Bellevue provided the majority of us the initial exposure to the rays of high school. Although, there is one more school to add to this list. It is locally understood that we are sitting in the superior of the two schools. For this reason, I would like to express my commendations to a few graduates for leaving Seattle and graduating from the best school. But ultimately, we arrived at North Delta Secondary School and were embraced as Huskies. Our first adventure with the school was bursting with light and happy yellow shirts. The opening day celebrations displayed instantly that this school was full of enthusiasm, amusement, and also an incredible effort by student volunteers. Immediately, we had seen and met the role models for our future. Presently, as I look back to this September 2009, I believe we made just as much of an impact on the new students, and a multitude of them look up to us as their role models. That final opening day of ours introduced us to the first day in which we owned the school. We have memories of marvelous events that this school has held. But what is not as well known is the fact that almost every single event that this school experienced had been organized in part by the students sitting before me today. The immense amount of respect and appreciation I have for them cannot be described. I sincerely thank all of the past humanitarians and future philanthropists of the graduating class of 2010 for the great service you have done this school and your peers. Enormous effort and valuable time is put in to make the function a success. And the grad book cruise followed very soon after opening day. I think there's still a chant ringing in our heads. I understand it went 2010, 2010, 2010, 2010. The happy smiles and the unending amusement from that night will be remembered eternally. It was not the event itself, though, that made the night a success, but the fact that the day was spent together with the first class people sitting before me today that made the grad boat cruise really an evening to be remembered. Senior girls volleyball, swimming, and senior boys soccer launched their seasons at the beginning of the year. Senior girls served strong in spike chart, while one of our graduates represented this fabulous school at the provincial level for swimming. The senior boys were exceptional on the pitch and played excellently at the provincials as well. During our last Halloween here, one of the classrooms became haunted as regular grade 12 students transformed into monsters to scare the younger student population. Again, we find that the senior students used their own time to create an environment that would amuse the school. The pep rally in November showcased every school club and sports team. We were entertained by a fantastic performance by the senior girls Bhangra team. The senior boys soccer team gave us some bare amusement, while the senior boys basketball team tried to pump up the crowd for the home opener that night, which was a victory, by the way. That opened up the senior boys and senior girls basketball seasons. Senior girls portrayed incredible basketball ability and talent. The senior boys team worked for numerous months to prepare for the season, and they could score at will. Unexpected injuries to the grade 12s created struggles, but the season was admirable. But something else happened during that season that will never be forgotten by the seniors on that team. On the court you are on today, scoring on the hoops around this gym, I can proudly say, in our last ever encounter with Siakam, we were victorious. The senior girls and boys rugby teams both had remarkable moments of sheer joy, but inevitably, some of disappointment as well. Senior badminton team was one of the very best in Surrey and Delta. Lastly, the senior girls soccer team played with heart and exemplified what Husky Pride is all about. North Delta athletics are a vital part of Husky Pride. A wise man once said, the high school sports is not extracurricular, but co-curricular. Being involved with athletics is equally as important as being strong academically. As a member of the senior boys basketball team, I can attest to this. It is more than just playing a sport. We learn how to improve physically, how to be a teammate, and how to be a leader. Such a strong bond is built between teammates from the month of work, where we no longer look at them as just friends, but a part of our family. I remember taking my jersey off after my last game, and it was somber. Not because I could no longer play, but because I could no longer play beside my brothers. The immense amount of pride we get from wearing the North Delta jersey is just as meaningful as being successful academically. Additionally, the North Delta Senior Girls Bhangra team did spectacular at the high school Bhangra competition, bringing home 3 awards. North Delta got the High School Hype Award, Most Entertaining, and 2nd place overall. The girls spent hours practicing for months to prepare for this event. Along with athletics, North Delta has an abundance of clubs where people from all different walks of life can join something they like. I was brought up on the concept of doing selfless service, and these clubs provide the perfect outlet to do so. Global Unity spread awareness of cultural celebrations and also tried to help the underprivileged. Student Council organized the assemblies and events that students could become involved in. The Yearbook Committee worked for endless hours to produce an amazing result in full color. The Husky Volunteer Club also worked to assist the deprived, while also giving other student opportunities to volunteer as well. If it was not for the effort of the grad committee, our grad events would not have been as successful as they were. Just going to the school in the morning and leaving after the last bell, it does not give the whole experience, as well as joining a club and working with friends after school. See, North Delta Secondary School is more than just a school to us now. It provided us with the whole experience, where one had the outlet to do whatever their passion was. It also had the resources to teach us, to help us, to fulfill our every wants and needs. North Delta transformed into home. When school was not even in session, we wanted to be here. We feel comfortable inside these walls, communicating